the Between the Pages podcast. Today, if you joined us last time, we said email us your questions. And if you missed out and didn't email us your questions, you can still email us your questions at info@yishkeni.com. And we'll keep them for the next time we do a questions and answers video. But we have the questions for this week. And I'm going to start with number 1. Which book was the hardest to write and why?
Well, that's a complicated question.
Out of the ones we have so far.
Well, the most difficult book was not to write, but to actually get through all the process was Jemima Jope.
Yeah.
Because there was just so many formatting and illustration changes with scenes and content and that kind of thing. It just seemed like it took a long, long time to get it done. Thinking about the books that were difficult, I would have to say Rosie was
hard.
Was a hard book. It was difficult
because hard for me. Grace is just a struggle bus.
Well,
it's just a topic. You don't want to mess anything up with the topic.
So Rosie is a difficult book, but in a sense, you had a lot to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, because you had a Proverbs 31:10, and you had, okay, this scene needs to have this aspect, and so it was difficult from a sense of, okay, this is what it is. How do I best depict that?
Yeah.
In a way that's not complicated for children. So there was that level of difficulty. But the one that was, difficult to write was J.G., The Selfless Servant. You're sitting there thinking, as a missionary, what would it be that you would do? Well, that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it took, kind of like what's going on with Grace, to get the words came well because I actually knew this guy. I knew a guy that was like this, but I didn't. He wasn't a missionary, but I knew him physically.
I know. It's just I still. No, what is the thing? Johnny Green. What? Say it. It's the blonde hair, red mustache, weirdest guy I've ever seen, or something. Yeah, you said the thing.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Green eyes, blonde hair, red mustache.
Blue eyes, red hair, hair so fair, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny Green, the weirdest guy I've ever seen.
Most unusual guy I've ever seen. Yeah, kind of thing. So, but yeah, so. But then, putting together he does this, he does this, he does this. And then so you get him in all these different places. Like no snow municipal in Russia. Well, no snow is kind of code for, because Russia's a communist country, one sun. And so is the way that works out backwards. And the same thing happens with the school in China, because it's a communist country. You can't, it has amen in it, And so there's, it was difficult to come up with those, I wouldn't call them palindromes or anything, but they were difficult things to figure out. And it took time to do that. It took time to do all of that. And so it's a good book, though. Now that it's it's out of design, it's in cover, it ought to be being released soon. The one that I'm working on right now is more of an adult child type book.
We're doing all the. What's the hardest
one? That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm telling you, this book is difficult. Well, because you're still writing. This book is difficult.
Yeah.
It's a difficult book. The Veil is a difficult book to write. And it was because it basically has 3 portions to it. And so I was telling Susan today, my wife, and I was like, I'm not sure my publicist is going to go for this. I mean, it's just I'm up to 26 illustrations, and they usually have a hard stop at 24. You're going to have to go to the board and get special permission, and that assumes that, because I have difficulty with, scenes and too many actions in the scene and that kind of thing, that assumes that it actually settles out at 26. So that was a bit of a problem.
So I know this isn't one of the people's questions, but what's the easiest one? Do you have like a...
Jake was easy.
Jake was easy. That's why I was like, Jake seemed really easy.
There was nothing.
I was going to say Jake or Fat Cat.
Fat Cat was a little difficult because of the subject, you know. I mean, you don't eat cats, you don't eat bats, you don't eat rats, you know, so why would you eat that? And, you know, that's hard to communicate because there's lots of people out there who eat those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay.
But Jake was easy. There was nothing Jake couldn't do.
And I look back at Jake and I'm like, this is a very simple book. You know, when you're reading all these other ones and then you go back to Jake, because I read them, you know, I read them to my kids, and so then I go back to the other one and I'm like, this book is breezy.
Yeah.
The topic is pretty simple.
Silly Millie was easy. It's the race, you know.
Okay. We got 8 questions.
Okay. Move along.
Do you have a favorite character from all your books?
You know, I mean, that's like asking which one of your kids are your favorites. I mean,
You're my favorite Sarah in this state right now, or something. You know, it's like you're my favorite, you know, Sarah that was born in this year. And so it's like, well, there's only that one, you know, that obviously, so it's like...
Yeah, you know, that's kind of a trick question because really and truly I like them all. I mean, I like all the characters, but I have to admit I have a special fondness for Jemima. I like her a lot.
Surprising. I thought you were going to say a different character.
Well, which one would you think?
I thought you were going to say Laz or Rosie.
Oh, I love Laz.
And I was already preemptive going to say, you can't pick Laz because she's your favorite in real life character.
I mean,
you got to pick one of the made up characters.
She lives right in here. But yeah,
Jemima Jope's cool. Jemima Jope's cool.
I like the
she
way
got spunk.
She's a free spirit.
Like
she solves problems.
She's
gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. I mean, I told the publicist, I said, you know, that scene of her in Tranquility and Peace and Tranquility Garden with the parasol and the corsage and all that. I said, that's just a beautiful scene.
Yep.
And I know she's just a cartoon character, but she's beautiful.
Yep.
You know, so, yeah, she's got a special place there, too. But, like I say, I like Johnny. I think Johnny is like, he's like a real, he's almost like a...
You have a favorite, that's one.
That's what I said. I like them all. I like all the characters.
Jemima Jope. Okay.
Yep. So we'll move on. Yeah.
Keep you.
You keep me in line because we only got so much time. We got a lot of questions. So
How do you come up with the rhyming in your stories?
Well, you know, usually...
This goes back to the video. You gotta go watch the words. Watch the words.
Yeah, the words is good.
The words video goes through a lot of that.
Well, but usually what happens is somebody says something.
Yeah. That's literally... Well, it didn't used to be like that because you had some books from just like the get-go. Right. But now, because really our goal is to get the 50, it's like something happens, you know?
Yeah,
and if you watch the podcast, you know that it's like, oh, you know, somebody said, oh, who's Greg? And then that became a book, Who's Greg?
Well,
and then somebody said... Do you want to do a secret prelude or whatever?
Yeah, Mama Bear. Mama Bear. Being at the dentist, you know, my hygienist was talking about.
Mama Bear was. I have something to say after you have what you.
Well, she was just talking about how her kids and she's having to teach them manners and to be polite and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, you're a Mama Bear, aren't you? Yeah. She's like, yeah, I'm a Mama Bear. And I'm like, Mama Bear.
And then we were talking about this, and then it became like not a competition, but who could write up Mama Bear faster. So I wrote up my version of Mama Bear. He finished before I finished.
Well, I mean, you know, fortunately, I mean, with Mama Bear, I mean, you know, because I'd already written the book Fair. So I already had a word list.
Yeah.
You know, the fair where they, you know, Johnny and Kira go to Nicaragua and set up a mission and all that. So I already had that. And so it was easy.
I didn't. I was doing, and I had made Mama Bear at the fair, and then we changed it totally to something else.
That's what I was talking about too. You know, I got a book with fair and hair and care and bear and all that already in it. That's in the mission field in Nicaragua. And now I've got this Mama Bear, which is, you know, manners and good behavior, and not staring. And
I said, this is another one of the ones we're doing together, though, right?
Yeah, we're doing that one together. We're collaborating. That's good. I'm excited about it. I wish we could get to it sooner, but the nest is next.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
Flutterby coming out. We're gonna do it,
Okay.
and then the nest. We got to work on that. So yeah.
There's so many. There's like all of the. These ones are like about to come out, and then there's like this set of like starting sort of books, and then there's like this other set that they're all ready to go. Like as soon as one gets published, we got another one ready to go.
Yeah.
And so then it's kind of like who gets picked next for the team.
Well, yeah, and you got to get through the editing. I mean, editing is the is.
What age kid do you think enjoys the books the most?
I think kids that haven't really formed a world view yet, where you can still escape into your. So I would say the younger children, I think, enjoy the books the most.
What is that, like 6?
Yeah, 6 and below. Because I mean, I think what happens is that
because we don't know, like a lot of people. I mean, some people share their experience, but we only know a few kids. And they're younger ones, and then more like middle age, not really teenagers yet.
Like the grandson Ben, I mean, he loved
him.
He loved Fat Cat. He loved that, and he was like 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so he's reading Fat Cat. He's like, wow.
I know.
That one where the catfish comes up out of the water and grabs the bat, he thought that was just amazing stuff.
Well, and that was one of the things with him, because when he came to visit, he saw a bat for the first time in his life. And I mean, when you're a kid, there's a lot of first events.
And it was good that he saw that when he was here, because this year I looked for the bat and I didn't see it at all. So
I don't know what happened to it. Are you planning any books about modern topics like social media or bullying? Well, and this is one that I picked because I was like, well, we already have Able.
Yeah, there's the technology thing.
And that is the social media addiction. Or not just social media addiction, but it's the technology addiction. But social media or bullying, which are big topics right now. Are you planning on any?
Yeah, Mama Bear definitely deals with bullying, because we're talking about
that is what Mama Bear.
Talking about somebody messing with her hair, and she's like, you don't care.
That's what Mama Bear is. So yes, we are going to be working on.
But then there's Kismet. It's talking about gambling. Gambling's a big problem.
But that's not social media.
No, but it's a social issue.
Okay.
And then there's evolution. That's what the veil's all. Fairy tale.
But what about
one
specifically on social media?
Well, I mean, it has to begin somewhere. And so you're willing to believe things on social media because you believe that you evolved from, I don't know.
Well, the other thing with social media, I think people just put up whatever their best self is. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess there's a perfect world out there. I guess you don't see all of the mistakes and errors that go into the books, and the ones that you finally wind up holding in your hand, well, they're perfect. But, the real world is not like that.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah.
Yes, we are. How long does it take from writing a book to it being published? Which we've answered that one before, too.
Well, it varies from book to book, but, yeah.
Some, like Jemima Jope, was supposed to be released in 2024. And it took forever, just the final process of getting the...
Well, look at Jemima Jope. I approved the design in November 2024.
That's what I'm saying. It should have came out.
And here we are.
It finally just came out in...
It's not even out.
Well, but we finally got the first set of copies.
We got the electronic versions out there, but we don't have a press release yet. We're still waiting on that.
Yeah, so it's coming up on a year just from... Which isn't how it's supposed to be.
Well, I mean, there's that book had problems along the way. I mean, I think it switched.
It depends, because some books it's like bam, 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 and ready to go,
and
then other books it's like
Molly.
Didn't Able? You got to the one scene and all of the stuff was messed up.
Yeah.
You had to redo everything.
Some similar type things will happen with Jemima. Yeah, Molly, she's done moved through the whole gauntlet from,
just over the summer.
Yeah, in 4 months.
Yeah. So, and I guess, too, it's how difficult is the book. Molly's a simpler book.
It's 12 illustrations. Yeah. It's pretty simple. It deals with disability, overcoming disability. So, yeah, that's kind of a social issue, I guess. But, yeah.
Do you ever get negative feedback about the Christian theme?
Of course, yeah. There's people out there who don't believe in Christianity.
Yeah.
They think it's a fairy tale. Well, I think evolution's a fairy tale, so
Sometimes
there we are.
we do. I forgot about that, because I just delete them sometimes. Mean comments.
Well, I mean, it's golden
there
apples.
was that one person that would, like, send up a whole thing about something. Remember? I don't
commit any of that stuff. You know.
Yeah. Sometimes there's negative feedback about Christian things.
Well, yeah.
There's gonna be negative feedback about anything you do.
Look, I mean, you know, Christianity, you know, from an outside looking in point of view, looks pretty mean to a lot of people. So, you know, I can understand that, but there's nothing better than the love of Jesus, and you know, knowing that He cares for you and as your best in mind. But yeah, how do you explain that to someone who's not a believer? I don't mind trying to do that, but at the same time, some people, they're just, you know.
Some people just trolls is what they're called.
Or whatever they are. That, you know, and one of the things I learned with, don't wrestle with the pig.
Yeah.
The pig just gets, you know, fed up with it, and you get dirty.
You both get muddy, and
so you don't cast your pearls before swine. And so, you know, if you don't like it, fine. That's why I say, have a nice life, enjoy yourself. Yep. I mean, I'm not here. I'm not writing these books for you. I'm writing them for someone who's interested in godly principles and getting their child off on the right foot. Now, this can be that, or maybe not. Maybe you decide, no, this is not for your kid. Okay, fine. I mean,
sounds good.
Not my thing.
Yeah. So, last question.
Oh, boy.
That's
a short list. I thought it was going to go on forever.
No, I only did a few. But we'll have more to answer next time.
We'll make it quick.
Okay. Which book do you think parents relate to the most?
Well, I have received extremely good feedback on Silly Millie. That everybody's in a race. The race is different for everyone. You know, when we get to heaven, we will all have crowns. Now, we're going to turn around and give those crowns to the Messiah. But, you know, that's the whole, you want to run the best race you can run.
And it's not really about the other people either. You're running your race.
It's your race, and you're not competing against someone else. You know, and so some people have a difficult time. Well, what's my calling? Well, I think you know what your calling is most often. You just don't want to admit it. Oh, wow, this is what because not everybody's meant to preach. Not everybody's meant to be a missionary. Not everybody's meant to be an usher.
Everybody has a gift that
you have some ability that you can
do.
You can help other people with, even if it's just something as simple as handing out food in a food line. Like that's one of the things Johnny does, or making sure people have clothing to wear, or that they become, you know. I mean, and so Johnny does a lot of different activities, but you know, that's because you're trying to illustrate that these are things that can be done. He doesn't have to be the one doing it all. It could be something. And so, I mean, you know, that's I think the most difficult thing is for people to recognize that they have a special talent. God loves them. And when Snowflake hits the page, when it hits out there, you know, basically the dedication to that is, you know, and within Johnny, it's the individualism is the enemy. You know, you got to take the focus off yourself and put it on other people. But in Snowflake, the uniqueness of you as a person,
which was what started Snowflake, was every single snowflake is different, and unique.
You know, and those are the ones you see today. Those are the ones that you're here to see. Thousands and thousands of years.
Because there's every blizzard every year. There's every snowflake on Mount Everest and all of those places, you know, and they're all different.
Yeah, and it's
like that's. I got a thing for snowflakes, man.
Yeah, well, you know, you think about snowflake, and you know, each one is unique. There's never been two alike.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you look out at the Hubble, and it looks out at just our little galaxy, and there's like millions and millions, hundreds of millions of planets in our galaxy alone. And then it peers out beyond that, and there are trillions.
Yeah.
with millions and millions of planets.
Do they have snow?
And that some of them have snow. And the snowflakes that are on those planets and those locations, they're unique.
Yeah.
There never was a snowflake on another planet that was like one here or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's a mind-boggling, and that's what you are.
Yeah.
You are unique in God's creation. God loves you and created you special.
For everyone.
He has a purpose for you. Yep.
You're not just
a
clump of cells.
Not just a random thing that happened, I mean, so yeah.
So
it's all a fairy tale.
That was the last question. So
okay, well, hopefully I did good with those.
Thanks for sending us your questions, and you are always welcome to send more. And you can send us questions whether we ask for them or not, because we can do a podcast or we can just email you back. But you can always email us at info@yishkeni.com.
Yeah, and keep your questions on the. I mean.
Well, all the questions that we got were pretty positive. Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, if you're watching the podcast, there's
some questions. You get the feeling they're not really sincere. They may be, but make them. Make them sincere questions, and then
watch the other podcast. And we know we get new followers, and so we're happy to re-go over things. But a lot of these were answered in previous podcasts, so.
Yeah, they weren't they? I thought some of those sound familiar.
Yeah, literally. It is like, what is it called? Binge watching. And it's like, you don't want to be addicted to technology. But we try to keep our podcast short enough that you can, watch a few, listen to them in the car
based on some of the other things that you probably could watch,
it's pretty good stuff.
I'd rather you watch this stuff than that. I mean, it's much healthier.
Anyway, like, subscribe, and follow for more about the Between the Pages, the Yishkeni Books collection, and other stuff we got going on.
Thank you very much.